front of package labeling. All right, Barnetta Nurse is currently the Advocacy Officer for the Global Health Advocacy Project at the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, where she's involved in sensitization and advocacy activities related to unhealthy eating and healthy food policies. She has a Master of Public Health specializing in health education and health promotion and has had experience in environmental health, food safety, health promotion and advocacy, public health nutrition, and standards development. She's a proud mom of one, a little superstar, and she has a passion for children, social work, and in general, improving the lives of others through nutrition and health. So everyone, let's welcome Ms. Bonetta Nurse.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to the Jamaica Library Service for giving me the opportunity to present this morning. I will be presenting, as Rosanna said, on nutrition label reading as well as front of package labeling. So I'll share my screen right now and move on with the presentation. Okay, great. So my presentation this morning, this is just a basic overview. So I'll be speaking about the importance of nutrition label reading, how to read the food label, what is front of package labeling, and just an introduction to front of package labeling and why it's important. And of course, because it's Parent Month, just a little plug as it relates to the role of parents and guardians in all of this. So let's start with nutrition label reading. So what is a nutrition label? So you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen there, what a nutrition label or a nutrition facts panel looks like. And this is really a description intended to inform the consumer of the nutritional properties of a food. So nutrition labeling is usually regarded as a public health tool to address unhealthy eating habits as well as rise in obesity rates. This type of labeling that you see there is not mandatory in Jamaica. It's only required if there is a claim on the product, a nutritional claim, for example, 100% vitamin C or any other nutrient that is in a particular quantity. The nutrition facts panel has to be there to prove that the nutrient is actually in that quantity. It's usually in that form, like a table, and it's on the side or the back of a food package, and it's normally can be termed back of package labeling. So why should we be reading or why should we pay attention to these labels? Well, it can help us to make informed choices. When you know the nutritional content of a food, you know how much calories, you know how much fat, how much sugar, how much salt is in a product, you can then decide based on this information if you should be purchasing and consuming this food or not. Packaged foods and drinks carry a lot of information, nutrition information, food safety information on their labels, on their packages that we really need to be paying attention to. So I'll now go into the basics of how to read a nutrition label. And it's a little bit complex, so I'll go slow so that you get the general gist of it. So on the right-hand side is a nutrition label, nutrition facts panel. And the first thing you're going to look at on the right is the serving size and the number of servings per container. This product, the serving size is 1 cup, and in the container, there are 2 servings. So this information at the top here tells you the size of a single serving and the total number of servings in the container. And the servings per container can be 1, it can be 2. For example, in the case of a 500 ml sugary drink or soda, the servings per container can be either 2 or 2.5, but in a 2-liter bottle, it can be up to 8 servings per container. Second thing you're going to look at is the amount of calories per serving. So the information on this label, all of this information as it relates to calories, total fat, cholesterol, sodium, and carbohydrates going down is actually per serving. So this package contains 2 servings, which would mean that the amount of calories that's there at 250 is only for 1 serving. So if you're going to consume the entire package, you would have to multiply the calories by 2, the total fat by 2, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrate, sugar, etc. by 2. So it's important to pay attention to how many calories you're really consuming. If you're consuming, for example, this product and the entire package, you will be consuming 500 calories. You'll be consuming 24 grams of fat, right? So if you double servings you eat, you will double the amount of calories and nutrients as well. As you continue to look at the nutrition label, you want to limit certain nutrients and get more beneficial nutrients in your body. So the ones that you'd want to limit is, of course, unhealthy fats, because some fats are necessary. We need fats for protection of our organs and for some bodily functions. So unsaturated fats are considered healthy fats, but saturated and trans fats and saturated fats found in some meats, some snack items, and trans fat found in fried foods, chicken skin, etc. Those are the ones you'd want to limit and avoid, as well as cholesterol, sodium, and of course, added sugars. So in terms of sodium, your recommended daily intake limit is 1 teaspoon of salt. And this includes salt that you add to your food and salt, table salt, salt that you use to season your foods. So that's 1 teaspoon, and that's 1,500 milligrams. For added sugar, for men, it's 9 teaspoons a day or 6 teaspoons for women. And for children between the ages of 2 to 18 years, it's less than 6 teaspoons. And if you want to convert grams to teaspoons, because if you look at the label, you won't see teaspoons, 4 grams is 1 teaspoon. 4 grams of sugar, 1 teaspoon, okay? Saturated fat, your limit is 13 grams, and cholesterol less than 300 milligrams, and trans fat should be eliminated from the diet completely. You should not be having any products at all with trans fat. As you look at the recommended daily value, now this percentage will tell you how much of each nutrient in a single serving in terms of your recommended daily limit. And your recommended daily limit is based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Now, you know that we all need a certain amount of nutrients to actually perform our functions daily for our bodies and metabolism to keep working. And in general, on average, that's about 2,000 calories a day. For people who are more active, we may need more calories, so maybe about 2,500, but a registered nutritionist, dietitian, will be able to tell you the exact amount of calories that you need. For sedentary people, that's people that don't do much activity per day, you need less calories, or you're at risk for putting on weight, becoming overweight or obese. So the rule of thumb, if you're looking at percentage daily value, because again, it's quite complicated, is that 20% or more is high and 5% or less is low. So if you want to consume less of a nutrient, let's say saturated fat or sodium, you want to choose, a percentage daily value that is 5% or less. This product has 20% sodium. So of course, that's quite high and you want to limit that as much as possible. If you want to consume more of a nutrient, such as fiber, you want to choose food with a higher daily value, for example, 20% or more. And you'd want to make sure that you're consuming an adequate amount of fiber, iron, protein, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, iron, etc. So in terms of looking at other parts of the label, so it's important not only to look at the nutritional facts panel, because as I said, that's not mandatory in Jamaica, and not all products actually have this, this label, this nutrition label. But you can look at other parts of the label as well. For example, you can look at the claims. So a product may have a particular claim. Now, these claims should by right be verified at the Bureau of Standards, but there are times when there may be misleading claims, but it's just important for you to make sure you are looking at what is actually on the label, on the front and the back. You should also look for allergen information. So some people are allergic to milk, fish. Vegetarians, for example, would probably want to make sure that they're consuming products that don't have any animal-based products. So it's important to look at the ingredients list, and also there should be declarations in terms of allergens, things that people are allergic to. When you're looking at the ingredients list, now the ingredients list is mandatory for products in Jamaica, and the list goes from most to least. So when the list begins, that's the ingredient that is found in the highest quantity in the product. And then as the list continues, the last ingredient listed is the one that is found in the lowest quantity in the product. So for example, some sugary drinks, their ingredients list, which is at the back of the product, starts with water, then sugar, and then you may have other added ingredients such as flavors, colors, etc. And because sugar is in such a high quantity in the product, you'll find it as in between number 1 to 3 in the ingredients list. So it's important. And remember, there are other names for sugar, such as fructose, such as high fructose corn syrup. You'll have maltose. You can have other names, which we provide information on our website as well. So I'll just move into introduction to front of package labeling and why it's important. So what is front of package labeling? So as consumers, what I just told you about the nutrition facts panel may be a bit difficult to kind of take in and process and be able to look at this all the time when you're purchasing a product. For example, sometimes, well, as parents or as other consumers, we don't have a lot of time to make these decisions when we're shopping. You know, we spend a few minutes in the supermarket sometimes and we just make decisions on the fly. But there are options to give us easier choices, to help us to make easier choices when we're shopping, and front of package labels provide that. So there are symbols or rating systems placed on the front of the package that can show us, for example, foods that are higher in certain nutrients of concern, the ones I mentioned, the unhealthy fats, sodium, and added sugars. So now front of package labels are usually placed on the front of processed food packages, and that's foods that have been changed from their natural state. There are a variety of front of package labels, types of front of package labels being used today. For example, in Chile, Peru, Uruguay, and Mexico, the octagon model is used, which is a black octagon that's placed on the product. And this is in Spanish, but it says high in sugar, high in calories, high in saturated fat, and high in sodium here. In Portugal, you'll have a Nutri-Score, which basically scores the products based on their nutritional quantities, nutritional properties, and the traffic light model, which gives you an indication of high, medium, low, based on what we know to be a traffic light, red, yellow, and green. And it indicates when a product is high, medium, or low in calories, sugar, fat, and salt. So based on existing research, the octagon model is the most effective model so far. Existing research has been done in Chile in terms of getting persons to be more aware of what's in their food, in terms of healthier choices, and even children were able to clearly identify which products are higher in these nutrients of concern and therefore affected the choices that their parents made while shopping. So why front of package labeling? So the nutrition label, as I mentioned, at the back of the package really delivers a lot of information, but at times it's technical and difficult to read and understand. And the front of package labeling provides a clear understanding of what's in our food. Now, this is not something that is available in Jamaica at this moment. In Jamaica and the Caribbean, we are currently revising the necessary standards through the Bureau of Standards Jamaica and the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality to include front of package labeling for the products in the Caribbean. Why again do we need this? Because our rates of overweight, obesity, and diet-related non-communicable diseases have been skyrocketing. For example, 1 in 2 Jamaicans are overweight or obese, and this increases the risk of those challenging diseases such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and certain cancers. And then our rates of childhood obesity are also increasing, and this is of great concern because this has long-term effects on the health of our children. And this has actually increased by 68% in the past 10 years. What are the results? And real-time results are that we are facing severe strains on our health system, on our health budget, and the individual costs, which are, difficult to even categorize or difficult to even understand for some of us. They're not only financial, but the emotional costs to individuals and families are sometimes insurmountable. People in terms of morbidity, loss of loved ones, and then actually accessing medical care for these non-communicable diseases puts us in a very difficult situation. Those foods high in unhealthy fats, saturated fat, for example, trans fat, salt, and added sugar increase the risk of obesity, overweight, and these very concerning non-communicable diseases. And then in our current situation, most of you would know that persons with underlying non-communicable diseases are at higher risk for developing severe symptoms and even death if they contract COVID-19. There are persons with NCDs are a high risk group. So you'll understand how our health situation has now put our population vulnerable to COVID-19. So in saying all of this, we need these policy interventions to address unhealthy eating practices, to give us an opportunity to make healthier choices, one of which is front of package labeling. In essence, you have the right to be healthy, and we have the right to know what's in our food so we can make informed choices. In summary, front of package labeling protects our right to be healthy. It is a human rights issue. It's a child rights issue. It elevates the health awareness among consumers and enhances consumer knowledge on healthy eating, and of course promotes healthier food decisions. It also encourages product reformulation by the food industry, who in essence also have an obligation as it relates to protecting our right to be healthy, and allows consumers to correctly, quickly, and easily identify products that contain excessive amounts of added sugar, unhealthy fats, and sodium. In essence, these healthier choices facilitated by front of package labeling reduces our risk of contracting and developing non-communicable diseases. So I'll just touch a little bit on the role of parents and guardians, including fathers, because this is Parent Month, and there is a spotlight shone on our fathers to arise and be wise. So as parents, we have a responsibility to guide the health behaviors in our children. We can involve our children in grocery shopping, age-appropriate meal preparation, exercise activities, backyard gardening, teaching them how to read the nutrition label and teaching them to be mindful of what they're eating at a very early age, because this affects their eating practices as they get older. Be an example and adopting and teaching children about healthy habits. So for example, swapping sugary drinks for fruit and vegetable. For example, preparing foods in a different way. Instead of frying foods, you can bake chicken, or instead of even something like French fries, which most children like, you can actually bake those instead of frying them. Monitor your child's nutrition habits, especially during COVID-19. Most of our children are at home. They tend to have emotional eating because their lives have changed in ways that we cannot, as adults, comprehend. Sometimes children can't articulate exactly what they're feeling, but they're no longer able to do things they previously did. They're not able to see their friends, and this may shift their eating habits a little bit. So it's important to monitor these habits as well as their emotional state during COVID-19. And you have the right to be healthy. Your children have the right to be healthy. So it's important to be aware and advocate for some of these policies that will shape your child's future, including front of package labeling and others that the Heart Foundation advocates for, including the school nutrition policy, marketing of unhealthy foods to children, and a health promotion tax, sugary drinks tax, which can be earmarked for school nutrition programs or the prevention of childhood obesity programs as well. So I will leave you today with our campaign ad, which is called What's in Our Food, Give Us the Facts. And this is our advocacy ad to get persons more mindful on what they're eating, to start looking at products, and of course, for front of package labeling in Jamaica.
Do we know what we're eating? Important information about unhealthy foods doesn't always get to us, and this can lead to wrong choices.
1 in 2 Jamaicans is either overweight or obese. Obesity increases the risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, 13 types of cancer, and even death.
We need full information on food labels. We have the right to know what we're eating. What's in our food? Give us the facts. Do we know?
And thank you for your attention. And for more information, we have lots of information on our social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, there at Heart Foundation JA for Facebook and Instagram, and at Heart Jamaica on Twitter, as well as information on our website, heartfoundationja.org, or just give us a call and we'll provide information for you. Thank you.
All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a very illuminating discussion on nutrition labels, food label reading, front of package labeling, and also not leaving out our parents and their roles in guiding child health and nutrition behaviors. All right, now that we have covered a wide scope of aspects or elements around nutrition label reading, we will now open the floor to any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you might have for Miss Nurse. You feel free to do so. In the meantime, what I'll do is that I'll check our YouTube platform again, as usual, for any comments that might have or questions that might have come through the chat. So the floor is open, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so our YouTube is clear. I'm not seeing any questions raised over there. Anyone has anything from the public or on the Zoom platform at the moment? Okay, I guess everything she said was as clear as mud, seeing that there are no questions or comments being raised. All right, so going once, going twice, and okay, that's it. All right, so thank you so much to everyone who joined in our discussion. And before we go, I'd like to remind you of our schedule of our upcoming presentations. So tomorrow we will be looking at COVID, diabetes, and stress management, and that will be done by Dr. Agra Irons. He's a consultant psychiatrist. And then on the 19th, that's Thursday, we'll be looking at studying nutrition and managing your diabetes, which will be done by Miss Marie Powell. She's the regional dietitian. And then at 9:30 tomorrow, We will also have a representative from the Ministry of Health and Wellness presenting on diabetes and physical activity, which is critical because most times we tend to look at all the other aspects and forget that physical activity is just as significant. All right. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, and we'd like to say thank you once again to Ms. Vanessa Nurse for taking the time out to come and share with us a very informative and instructional session. And feel free to go ahead and contact or check out the Heart Foundation of Jamaica's pages, or even you can contact us through the Jamaica Library Service, and they can even forward your questions or comments or concerns to us and we will go ahead to provide responses or assistance as best as possible. So see you again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. same place, and walk good.
Thank you. Bye.